Hey guys, it's Bryony. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about why I stopped taking the pill. So, brief bit of background for those of you who have not been here before. I originally started taking the contraceptive pill back in March 2020 because I have very painful periods caused by a condition called adenomyosis. Adenomyosis causes the lining of my uterus, my endometrium, to grow into the actual muscular walls of my uterus, and this makes my periods incredibly painful each month because just like throughout your cycle, your endometrium fills with blood, the lining of your uterus fills up with blood, and then once a month sheds that in your period. The same lining inside the walls of my uterus builds up each month with blood, but there's nowhere for it to go, so it's just squeezed and it causes horrific pain. For many people, it also causes very heavy bleeding, although fortunately for me, my periods are not that heavy. I have had painful periods since the age of 15, which is when I started this channel actually too. And over the years, I tried many different natural ways to cure it. I honestly couldn't even list them all here. I tried to the other day and I got to about 15 different things I tried, from acupuncture to vegan diets, gluten-free, dairy-free diets, homeopathy, natural oils, different supplements, pretty much everything you can think of. I tried it, and the truth is it didn't work. So eventually I decided, you know what, there was a period I had, which was my February period in 2020. I just hadn't had enough. It wasn't a particularly bad period. There were ways I found to manage my periods better, so they were still painful but not as horrific as they could have been. And I just had one of those periods and I was like, do you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with having to plan my life around my menstrual cycle, because I couldn't do like normal things the first and second day of my cycle because it was just too painful. So I'd be in bed, just with a hot pack and with like loads of drugs to manage the pain, because that's the only way I could cope with it. So that's why I made the decision to go on the pill. And I'm very fortunate that my mother has a very good friend from university who is a gynecologist, and she very kindly offered to spend an hour with me just chatting about, what my symptoms were and why I was considering going on the pill and helping me figure out which one might be best. And she recommended a 75 milligram desogestrel pill, which is the one I have here. This one is actually it's the Cerazette brand, but it's a 75 milligram desogestrel pill. And at first when I started taking it, it was brilliant. So gradually over a period of about 3 to 4 cycles, my periods got a little more irregular. That's very normal, and they got shorter and lighter and lighter and lighter until they eventually stopped. I think my last period, kind of when I first went on the pill, was in July, and it was basically just spotting. So the cramping was very minimal. With each period that became lighter, the cramping became less and less. So that was great. However, right at the beginning, I do remember the first 2 weeks I took the pill that I had some symptoms of like depression and anxiety. Now, you may or may not remember, it does feel like it's been a lifetime at this point, but March 2020 was a pretty significant time for people in the UK, and I think for the rest of the world too, because that was when the pandemic was really starting to hit, particularly here in the UK. I got my pill prescription just before everything kind of went shut down. So those first 2 weeks I was on the pill, it was kind of hard to work out, is this a side effect of the pill, or is this just because there's a global pandemic happening and people are dying? Tricky. It was not perhaps the best time to be starting some new medication because it made it really difficult to decide. But either way, after those first 2 weeks, it might have been a little bit longer actually. Generally speaking, I think things calmed down. I didn't feel quite so off center. And so I continued to take it, and as I said, it stopped my periods, and that was brilliant. And then we gradually started to open up, and I felt like I was feeling pretty good. I didn't have any major side effects from the pill. I didn't have particularly sore boobs or anything. My periods stopped, which meant I no longer had to plan my life around them, which was just wonderful. And so generally speaking, things were going pretty good. Fast forward then to kind of late 2021, so late last year. I started to notice that I was feeling a bit down a lot, and there were times throughout the pandemic where I had really low moments, and I just attributed that to there being a global pandemic. But there was a couple of occasions where I felt like this feels like more. This is like a proper this is me feeling properly low and actually depressed, and that is not normal for me. I am not prone to depression. I've had some pretty tough times in my life, you know, obviously pandemic was a difficult time for everybody, but I had been through a chronic illness that had made me housebound and bedbound, and I had never felt low or depressed about it. It's just not something I'm naturally prone to do. I have moments where I feel sad and days where I feel generally more drained and low. That's completely normal. Everyone goes through that. But this was a stronger feeling, and this went on for much longer. And it wasn't until December 2021, when I was actually during the time I was doing Vlogmas, that I noticed I was just feeling so freaking low. And I'd go to my parents' house, I'd sit there with my mum, and I'd be on the sofa like this, just like, I wish I could pull myself out of this funk. I feel so, like, I don't want to do everything, like everything's going wrong, nothing's working out. And yeah, sure, there was some smaller problems going on, but I had some big goals I was aiming towards, and it didn't feel like it made sense. There was no trigger. There was Omicron happening, I guess, and I was kind of like, is that triggering it? But then when I thought about it, I was like, to be honest, I'm at the point where this doesn't really scare me anymore. I've been fully vaccinated. I feel like we're kind of coming to the point where we're just gonna have to live with this, regardless of whether you agree with these opinions or not. I'm just walking you through my mind process. And so I was like, that just doesn't explain it. This doesn't make sense. And it's actually one of the reasons I kind of stopped Vlogmas a bit early as well, because I was just struggling so much to do all those videos, because I felt so drained and low every single day. I just had no motivation, and a general feeling I think looking back on it is that my emotions were kind of like dulled. They were dulled down, like someone had kind of stamped down on them. So I could feel them, like happy, sad, all these other things, but they were just kind of turned down. That's the best way I can describe it. And so December was when I really started noticing this, and I had been thinking, you know, maybe I want to come off my pill just to kind of see how my periods are bit before this time, and I'd gone, well, no, that's just silly, because unfortunately there's no cure for adenomyosis. The pill is literally just masking it. But then when this happened, I thought, you know what, I think I need to come off this pill, because I need to see, is this just the pill that's done this to me? It is a known side effect that can cause low moods and depression. So I was like, is this the pill, or is there something else going on here? And I need to come off this stuff to give my body a chance to come out of it and see, do I still feel this way? So that was when I decided that I would come off my pill. And the last day I took my pill was the 31st of December last year. So since this year, the 1st of January, I have not taken a single pill, and it's the 26th today, so it's almost been a month. I was so anxious the first week I came off the pill, because I am genuinely terrified of my periods now. I've realised I've got a bit of, I guess, kind of like PTSD, because I can just remember the pain, and anytime I get any cramping, like the first few days in particular, there was one night where I was going to bed and I had a bit of cramping, and I was thinking, is my period coming? And as soon as that was happening, I literally started shaking like this, like my body was, I was like, you know, I couldn't control it. My body was just like remembering how bad it could be, and I'm just telling my brain, you know, it's okay. I've got pain meds, I've got ibuprofen I bought here ready, I've got tranexamic acid that I've been prescribed to take when I have my periods, that just suppresses some of the bleeding. You know, I've got all these things, I'm trying to mentally walk myself through, like, yeah, we know how to do this, we did this for years, but it was really mentally difficult. Every single night, I was okay during the day, but every single night, I was lying in bed, I was thinking, I should just take my pill, I should just take my pill again. Maybe it's not too late, I can avoid my period, I can just take the pill. And I had to say to myself, no, you're gonna be fine, you can get through this. So I did. And one of the things that I also did throughout this time was, from the second day of not taking my pill, I started testing with ovulation tests. So every single day I took these, and then around day 16, so 16th of January, I got a positive one. So at that point I knew I'd ovulated, and that was like a big relief to me, because I felt like my body was getting back very quickly into its natural cycle, because that was pretty much, you usually ovulate around day 14 in a normal cycle. So to ovulate on day 16 was not too long after I came off the pill, actually. So I felt kind of relieved that my body might be getting back into its regular cycle quite quickly. And from that point, I knew that if my body stuck to its traditional cycle that I had before, I'd get my period exactly 14 days after that. So from that point, I had some kind of time scale about what might be happening, because when I came off the pill, I genuinely had no idea. I was like, am I going to bleed straight away? Am I going to ovulate straight away? How's my body going to respond to this? Is it going to take months to come back? Because everyone has a different experience coming off the pill. And it was that uncertainty that I found the most difficult to deal with at first. But once I kind of felt like I was snapping back into a regular rhythm and routine, then it became easier, because then I could kind of know roughly what time I'd be dealing with my period. So that did make things a lot easier. So now that I'm 26 days off the pill, I can say some of the symptoms I've noticed were obviously that really bad anxiety at the beginning, which I think is not specifically due to the pill, but actually due to just me worrying about my periods. The other thing I've had is insanely sore nipples. I'm never somebody that's particularly prone to getting like boob pain or nipple pain. I've never had nipple pain before, but oh my God, like it hurt like hell. My nipples were so sore. If I even like brushed them accidentally, it was like, ah. And apparently this is really common because I did a little questionnaire on my Instagram stories and asked people who come off the pill to like anonymously send in their symptoms, and this one came up quite a bit, so that was really fun. I also, and I'm not sure if this is actually a pill thing that hasn't gone yet because I've had this for a while, but I have been so sweaty since I was on the pill. Like, I can just be sitting and I've never been a particularly sweaty person, but like if I lift my arms up, like I can just smell BO a lot of the time, and like literally just sitting in bed in a t-shirt, and I'd be like, it's not that hot in here. Why am I so sweaty and smelly? It wasn't actually like, it wasn't damp per se. Like I didn't have like, I don't think I've got a damp patch or anything, but I didn't have damp patches, but I just felt really sticky and I could smell, it was the smell more than anything. That is not normal for me, and I think that might have been a symptom that I gained when I was on the pill but was kind of unaware of, but I still have that, so that hasn't gone away. So whether or not that is just puberty coming a bit later or actually the pill, I'm not sure yet. It'll take a bit more time for me to like properly detox, but that's kind of what I've experienced so far. So I just wanted to record this video to kind of give you guys an update on why I've come off it, because I have mentioned it in a couple of videos, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to stay off it. It may well be that I come off this and realise actually, yeah, that feeling low was due to the pill, but my periods are still really terrible, and I'd rather take the slightly dampened emotions and a little bit more of a low feeling every now and then over having to deal with my period all the time. Maybe when we come further out of the pandemic, I'll feel better as well. Just generally, the world feels a bit more stable. I don't know. I've not totally gone off it. I might try a different type of contraception to manage my periods. So I may go back onto it. I may try another form of contraception. IUDs, the Mirena IUD is often recommended for this sort of thing, so that's definitely a possibility. I'm not saying I'm never going to try another method to try and manage my periods again, but for right now I just wanted to come off and see how I felt off of it, and I felt like that would kind of empower me a bit more as well, because if I did go back onto it and had some of these symptoms again, I would be able to say to myself, don't know what that was, I'd be able to say to myself, this is because of the pill, this is not you. And so I feel like I might feel a bit better about that then. Whereas at the moment, I really couldn't tell because I started it at the same time as the pandemic. I don't know what it's like to take the pill in a non-pandemic environment, so I can't separate the two out properly, and that's been what I've struggled with the most. So that's why I'm just taking a bit of a break for now. Also, just a small heads up, whenever I seem to do a video about the pill, people always start talking about natural cycles and the natural like fertility methods and monitoring methods. And the thing is, that is totally useless for me because I don't need contraception as actual contraception. I need it to manage my period pain, which natural cycles stuff doesn't. That doesn't, you know, you just monitor your temperature and stuff. And I know all about that. I'm very aware of it, but it doesn't make any difference to my period. So that's why I haven't done it or done any videos on it, because it's not something that's going to help me. Just wanted to put that out there because I'm sure somebody will mention it, just FYI. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If any of you take hormonal contraception of any kind, if any of you have had any symptoms while being on the pill or any other ones, do let me know in the comments below. Share it with us because part of my channel is about education, not only me educating you, but you sharing your experiences with others down below and opening a conversation about this, which I think is really important to have. So do let me know if you've had any symptoms or side effects, and we can start a conversation and see how people generally feel about it. Did you feel better coming off? Was it worth it being on it? Who knows? You can let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Do please subscribe, and don't forget, if you do have your periods and you haven't tried them yet, you can get cloth pads from my website, Precious Stars. Link is down below and at the end of this video, and you can also support me on Patreon if you want to keep supporting these videos. There's a link down below too. Thanks everybody. I'll see you next week. Bye guys.